Yo, 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 Big Kish back up in here, man. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Y'all are not going to want to click off this video. You ain't going to believe this one. This is the exposure of Charlemagne Tha God. I'd never seen it broke down like this. The failed rebrand of Charlemagne Tha God. I will leave a link in the description. Shout out to Hip Hop Madness for breaking this down and putting it together, y'all. Yeah, y'all know I'm like holding y'all. Without further ado, let's get it.
If Tekashi 6ix9ine beats this case, I'll suck his.
Damn.
You don't have to ask me.
Damn.
Oh my God.
I sniffed your chair last time you was
You're
here.
sick.
This is wild, bro. This is wild. This is wild. Something wrong with dude, man.
Person.
I know. I did. I couldn't help it.
J-Lo just left.
Trying to stay relevant in hip-hop is already tough, but things get even more challenging when your job relies on your opinion. As when your thoughts and experiences are your main asset, it's a constant challenge to keep people interested without relying on public beefs, worn-out gimmicks, or publicity stunts. For Charlemagne Tha God, there was a period when the culture latched on to his every word. Brash, smart, uncompromising, and always hilarious, his controversial antics once made The Breakfast Club a must-listen and made him into a household name. In fact, at one
The world is changing now. You can't get away with dumb stuff like this. Y'all remember they had them two male dolls in the back of them? And what they was doing? Bruh, you can't do that. No, the world is getting better. Like, people are waking up. You can't get away with this freaky ass. You a nine god. You can't get away with this, bruh.
stage, there was a case to be made that he was one of the preeminent voices in hip-hop.
I've been a fan of yours for a while. I think you're the last great radio host, and you will be the last famous radio host, because I think radio is a dying thing. You're the last great one.
But a lot has happened since Joe uttered those words. And after years of dominance, Charlemagne has reached the point where his relevancy is in free fall. Between his attempts to overhaul his identity to appeal to a mainstream audience, to a slew of canceled television shows and accusations of pandering, Charlemagne's career has never looked more confusing. But before we get to that, let's back it up a little bit to look at how his legacy was built. Taken from a name that he had given himself while in prison on drug charges, Leonard McKelvey's career as Charlemagne began in the most inconspicuous of ways. I was just a young kid trying to figure it out. Pursuing a rap career actually led me to radio. I was sitting in a recording studio and I met a radio personality by the name of Willie Will. I just asked him how he got into radio, and he told me he went to the radio station and got an internship. This is 1998 in Charleston, South Carolina, so things were a lot different then. After 7 years of grinding and getting fired from multiple
Who is this? Who is that? Who is that? I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
local radio stations, Charlemagne got his big break in 2006 when he became the second mic on the Wendy Williams show. For those 2 years he spent beside her, Charlemagne learned the ropes and honed his trademark confrontational style. But make no mistake, he was still very much the supporting cast and was treated that way. Although he could pretty much do whatever he liked with more vulnerable guests like Buffy the Body or Cassie, he didn't have the clout to avoid getting called out on Wendy's show, as back then,
y'all remember Buffy the Body? I ain't hear that name in a long time. That's wild.
guests had no reason to fear him. Just look at what Andrew Dice Clay did to him.
Are you part of the show?
I'm a sidekick.
Yeah.
I think Mike Tyson has a better chance of making a comeback than you, though.
That's what you should be, a sidekick, a flunky. Let me ask you, did you put him up to that? It just seems like you let him do that.
After he joined the Breakfast Club,
Damn.
Charlemagne was empowered to fully embrace the role of shock jock. Capable of asking deeply personal questions in a rude, almost abrupt manner, Charlemagne's reign of terror on the Breakfast Club was so successful that it empowered Power 106 to finally overtake Hot 97's morning program to become the #1 hip-hop radio station in the country. From Birdman asking for respect to be put on his name and making Lil Mama cry, to his seriously questionable behavior towards various guests, you just had to tune in to hear whatever Charlemagne had to say. Combined with his interviews on Vlad TV, he basically became the original king of the hot take. Essentially,
And I want y'all to really pay attention to his downfall, because you can apply the same thing with people that's getting away with stuff like this, and YouTube still letting them be on the platform. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I ain't mentioning their name. They ain't doing no videos on them. Y'all know exactly who I'm talking about. Same thing, it happens. It happens with everybody. You ain't gonna get away with stuff for too long, man.
laying the groundwork for the personas of plenty of people who'd enter the media space to come. But over time, Charlemagne seemed to retire that persona, making way for people to come along with even more willingness to troll and less to lose. So even while he had a long spate where he was feared and people couldn't simply mock him like Dice did, this couldn't last forever, particularly when an increasingly tame Charlemagne came up against Tekashi 6ix9ine at the peak of his powers.
Yo, boy, it's not hard to find me.
Don't call me a boy, please.
It's not hard to find me. If someone wanted to find me, they would have been found me.
I don't know these.
Now he don't want to get caught up
niggas.
in it. You see how I get under his skin?
At this moment, people noticed that if Charlemagne could be defanged by someone like Tekashi, then there was nothing to fear. And in trying to argue with a master troll, he picked up an emphatic L.
Listen, Charlemagne, you don't got no Billboard records.
Yeah, because I got a nationally syndicated radio show.
You don't got no Billboard records.
I got a nationally syndicated radio show. I got a New York Times best-selling book. I've had hit TV shows. I executive produce a lot of TV shows. I got movies
to be
coming
honest,
out.
if it wasn't for this, I would have never heard about you.
But to make matters worse, there was actually a fair point made by Tekashi, in that when it comes to Charlemagne's notoriety,
Tekashi is smart. He's smarter than what people think. He is smarter than what people think. He did school him.
it mostly comes down to his time on The Breakfast Club. That's not anything to be ashamed about, and they have sustained a successful run for a long time. But it seems that it's a narrative that Charlemagne wants to change, and has led to constant attempts to branch out. However, his moves into other media haven't been so seamless. Let's start with his TV shows, Uncommon Sense, The God's Honest Truth, and Hell of a Week. In each case, they didn't last too long before ratings plummeted, and
Tekashi ain't smart. That nigga dumb as hell, man.
they were eventually canceled. In the case of the last two, even the aid of late-night legends like Stephen Colbert didn't help, and perhaps neither did Charlemagne's very blatant attempt to rebrand. Billed as the conversations that were happening in the barbershops, Charlemagne even went as far as being billed under his real name. When I hear the name Leonard, I think about my grandma, I think about my mama. The name snaps me back into reality, and it just keeps me from being a caricature of myself. From there, he doubled down, saying that, not only is this what I should be doing now, I feel like this is my future. Well, if it is Charlemagne's future, it unfortunately looked bleak, as once again, it was proven that people simply weren't interested in the newer, more politically correct version of Charlemagne. Besides, it's bizarre that he even seems so eager to get into TV when the TV industry is a sinking ship. Having said that, his attempts to transition into the world of podcasting hasn't gone perfectly either. Launched in September 2020, Charlemagne and iHeartRadio launched the Black Effect Network amid the
He is not doing good with Andrew Schultz. Bruh, ain't nobody rocking with that, bruh. Ain't nobody rocking with that unless they have a moment like Kendrick Lamar or something. And you still, Andrew Schultz still trying to be down. Like, bro, go sit down, bro. Go sit down.
The content gold rush of the pandemic. I saw what Bill Simmons was doing with The Ringer, and I realized there wasn't a place like that serving black people and the black audience. I felt like if I could get a machine like iHeart behind a company that could get all of these black podcasts together under one umbrella, we could have tremendous success. And we have. At its core, it's an admirable concept, and they've had some successes with shows like Checking In with Michelle Williams, Reasonably Shady, Green Money, and 85 South Show. However, for every podcast that gained an audience, there's dozens that have yet to take off. Not to mention, it was quite a bold move for iHeart to team up with Charlemagne, especially given the current cultural climate.
I don't know. Do y'all watch the 85 South Show? 85 South Show is pretty good. It's pretty good. I haven't caught it lately, but some of them shows, you know, I watched it. They're pretty good. They are very funny. Very, very funny.
Circling back to 2018, an old charge from 2001 resurfaced against him. Fortunately for Charlemagne, the 3 years of parole he'd already served were considered sufficient, and the case was dropped. Still, this incident, which he personally had no involvement in, has intensified the scrutiny of his past towards women. Because of this, Charlemagne to this day continues to try and make amends.
Why am I giving myself donkey today? Because I feel stupid that I am just now realizing that a lot of us men in America have been raised on culture. I feel bad and extremely dumb that I didn't realize this earlier in my life. I look at some of the things I used to say to women in interviews here on The Breakfast Club, and I'm like, bruh, you was wildin'.
While what he's saying has a lot of validity to it, there seems to be a great deal of suspicion that he's only walking back his past comments today in order to progress his career. After all,
Then he turn around and do this. I paused it soon. I was about to say it, talk about it. You turn around and sniff it. I don't know if this the seat sniff was before that, but you know how he be. I can't even repeat the stuff he be saying. I can't even repeat that. And I'm telling you, there was an agenda behind these two. With those two dolls in the back, it was like, yo, bro, why ain't nobody speaking out against this? They had those two Barbie dolls, those two male Barbie dolls in the background on their little shelf right here. I say, bro, why ain't nobody speaking out about this?
After all, this is a man that went from sniffing J-Lo's chair to interviewing Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. With those accolades, it makes sense that he might want to be seen as more than just a shock jock whose career is built on controversy. The only problem is that when he tries to push forward, he keeps getting viciously checked. Just look at what Larry Elder did to him.
And when Joe Biden insulted you by saying, you ain't really black, we don't know whether or not you want to vote for me or vote for Donald Trump, that should have been a wake-up call on your part. How dare this guy come in here and insult you, a black man, and tell you you got to think a certain kind of way? I'm amazed that you weren't mad about that.
I'm not going to say it upset me, just like I'm not letting you upset me. You know what I mean? I don't tend to get upset over things like that.
You sound like you're upset. You sound like you're upset. I ain't gonna lie. You sound like you're upset. Let's get that back. If y'all haven't heard of this brother right here, he speaks out about, equality and, we just look up Larry Elder. Just look him up.
I'm amazed that you weren't mad about that.
I'm not going to say it upset me, just like I'm not letting you upset me. You know what I mean? I don't tend to get upset over things like that.
He came in here and told you aren't even black and let you think a certain kind of way. It seemed to me that should have been a wake-up call for you, but it wasn't, apparently.
Yeah.
Continuing to be marginal.
He talk about how, we have rights now. We, don't be having excuses to not do better in life. And you know what I mean? That's how he be talking. Oh, bro, why this dude got his feet up, man? You're a grown man. He think he on the damn beach.
There are even those who believe that just as he started as a B-Mic on the Wendy Williams show, he's reverting back to that now on his own podcast.
Oh, I'm not arguing with nobody that's the B-Mic on their show. If it's your show and you the B-Mic, shut the up. I'm not arguing. You've taken yourself out of Pod Wars.
He's 100% the B-Mic when he's sitting next to Schultz on his show.
Enduring these harsh words from the man who basically occupies the space that Charlemagne once had as the #1.
That's wild, bro. I said it. Andrew Schultz just got to be the lead. He got to be like, yo, how you in front of Charlemagne? Like, Charlemagne is the reason why I would ever watch and see what's going on, because he's going to bring what everybody want to see. But I don't want to hear Andrew Schultz take on nothing, anything.
Cultural commentator, Joe's critique comes in reference to how Charlemagne's co-host on The Brilliant Idiots has basically eclipsed him in terms of fame. Back when the podcast started, Andrew Schultz was the up-and-comer and Charlemagne's star power legitimized him. But that's not the case anymore, with Brilliant Idiots becoming the less popular of Schultz's two podcasts. And in the view of academics, a major part of this came because Charlemagne began to water down his persona.
For future episodes of Brilliant Idiots, he was a very toned down PC version of himself. You have a guy next to you who's still got his gun on, shooting up everywhere and always doing his thing. You might assume the person who's kind of keeping it a little bit tamer is the B-Mic, but I don't think so.
In essence, what academics' comments allude to is that the self-preservation Charlemagne does is backfiring on him. And suddenly becoming a much more sedate and conscious version of himself, he's unfortunately misinterpreted what people tuned into The Breakfast Club for. Simply put, it wasn't really about his deep insights or political opinions. People were there for the wild, unpredictable moments. And sadly, by stepping away from that chaos, he's essentially boxed himself out of the niche he used to dominate. Nowadays, Charleston White.
That goes to show you, people love drama. People love drama. Yeah, and that's why I speak about working on self and self-awareness, because you are what you're attracted to. When you change yourself, you'll change your surroundings. This stuff ain't gonna come on your timeline no more. This dumb Charleston White, lost respect for him. For real, bro. He ain't fooling me with that old character stuff no more. That's it.
White, Boosie, and TK Kirkland are now inhabiting that position as the go-to guy for cultural hot takes for Vlad TV, and DJ Academics is the voice of hip-hop to many teens and young adults. Meanwhile, it's hard to imagine that any TV network will be willing to take the chance on another show bearing Charlie's name. Still, for everything that it's worth, he solidified his position, and for every failure at crossing over, he's got a tendency to put a positive spin on it.
People are not willing to grow because they get stuck in the one thing that worked for them. Imagine if I was still doing what I was doing 15 years ago. I'd have been played out. The reason I would have been played out is because people will see through that. They know that's performative.
And as we've talked about, Charlemagne's attempts to move past his old persona haven't been as successful as he's hoped. But one thing is clear, he's not a quitter. Or perhaps he simply can't go back to who he was before.
I read YouTube comments and people say he lost his edge. And really, it's not that he lost his edge. He's still clever. He's still witty. Like, y'all interviewed Charlemagne in 2013. In the interview, that say, yo, Ack, right now it's too hot to black. Right now you need your Nubian white. That was toxic. I ain't gonna hold you. Imagine if he was still sniffing seats, bro. They would have tried to put this in Guantanamo Bay. I think he kind of realized, like, yo, bro, you gotta chill, tone it down. And I think that's what he did, just toned it down.
Still, it doesn't help that he doesn't always practice what he preaches.
Y'all see me about to agree with some shit? Nah, I ain't agree. I was supposed to be fast forwarding, but shit, hey, I forgot.
Because of the fact that he still exists in the Breakfast Club space, where he occasionally dips back into his old persona, fans are confused by who Charlemagne really is. And as a result, it's hard for anyone to fully support his new ventures when they come off as temporary or inauthentic, because now it's even starting to stress out the people close to him.
Why are you jumping this though? You don't even know her. You got to get to know her and court her and, see if y'all are compatible. She might not even want to give you nothing.
Right. Bro, what happened to you?
What do you mean? I've always said that.
Bro, what happened to you, man?
I want my legacy to be a legacy of service, Charlotte told Forbes. I want people from all walks of life to talk about how I serve them in some capacity. That's what I feel like we're all here to do. I want to be of service to my family, and I want to be of service to our people, period. At the moment, it's safe to say that Charlemagne isn't measuring up to that mark. If you ask most people to summarize who Charlemagne is and what his legacy means at the moment, it'll still equate to not much more than the shock jock reputation that he garnered during the start of his career. At 46 years old, Charlemagne clearly sees his path being in mainstream media, but at the moment, it's a tough market for him to crack. Still, wherever he goes from here, I think it's important to remember that The Breakfast Club is still the #1 urban morning show in the country.
I'll say this. If he's genuine about changing his life, all praises to the brother. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what life is about. Life ain't about still being the same person. If that was the case, we still be walking around here with a pacifier, a bottle, and a diaper. Life is about growth. You know what I mean? I think Jay-Z has said it one time. He said, what, you think I'm living to be the same person? You're supposed to change. You know what I mean? Despite the song, I never change. This is Jay every day. But, yeah, that's what it's about. It's about maturing in life, leading by example and showing your story, where you come from. And look at the stuff we able to go back on and say, like, damn, bro, you sniffing seats. You talking about yeah, I can't even mention that. Y'all know we'd be saying about Oprah and Beyonce and all of that stuff. That's nasty, man. Nasty. Him being 46 years old with a family now, he can't talk like that, man. You got a family, you got children. They gonna hear this stuff. They already really could. The internet is forever. They already could go back and, when they get of age, his children get of age, they can go back and see what you done did. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going nowhere. But yeah, very, very, very nasty. But if he's sincere in his walk and he's changing, hey, I can't stop that. I can't stop. I can't say nothing about that. That's what we meant to do. You know what I mean? But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Big Kish signing out. I'm going, y'all.